I've given you some information. I've given you a lot of information there as far as the jobs and the number of jobs that have been created. I've given you some information as far as how many vehicles are out there on the road. I've given you the numbers and how they stack up into the trillions as far as what can actually be, what has actually been put on the books and what is going to be put on the books by this industry. What questions do you have for me?
You mentioned about retrofitting a vehicle. What does that mean?
To retrofit a vehicle, that's a very good question. And the question that came to us is, what is it meant when we say retrofitting of a vehicle? Retrofitting of a current vehicle, we can convert a vehicle that is from 2007, the EPA, every vehicle from 2007 and beyond can be retrofitted. Meaning that if you're driving a gasoline vehicle today, that vehicle can actually be retrofitted to become a propane vehicle, a compressed natural gas vehicle, or a liquid natural gas vehicle, or even a biodiesel vehicle. It can be transferred into. They can be changed. What actually is being changed out is it's only a few components that actually are going to be changed. We're going to change, obviously, the gas line. We're going to give you a new fuel line. You're going to change out the injectors. That's what actually injects the fuel into the engine. We're going to change out the electronic control module. The electronic control module is the brains of your car, your vehicle, your truck, your bus, what have you, semi-truck, and it actually tells it what type of vehicle, what type of fuel you're using and how much of that fuel to actually inject into the engine. So we'll change that out, and then you're on your way. It's about a 5 to 7 day process depending on the type of vehicle. We do inspections. We send information to the state and to the county to let them know that you are no longer driving a fossil fuel gasoline powered vehicle. You are now driving perhaps a propane powered vehicle. And then that way, the following year, you will be going and you will be getting an emissions test, but this time for propane. The semi-truck drivers, they love it because they will immediately, when they go to the emissions stations, as I mentioned, to have that emissions, they actually will be tested for propane emissions as opposed to gasoline emissions. Hopefully, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. The next question is, you said about training and jobs, things like that. Can you talk to me about that?
Yes. As a matter of fact, with our training, our company, along with other companies, we actually offer a training program for those who want to actually go into the alternative fuels industry. And we offer training from 2 weeks to 6 weeks, training certificate programs. And once they receive their certificates, we actually have job placement where we actually help them with jobs. And the reason why we're able to do that and to do it expeditiously is because we have companies that actually contact 95 Motor and Alternative Fuels to ask them, do we have people who are trained and who actually can they actually come to us and get those well-qualified people who actually can go out into the areas. As I mentioned earlier, you have people, seismic technicians that are needed for shale to actually extract that from the ground. We have retrofit technicians who are actually needed to go out and do conversions. They are EMT technicians that actually know how to know how to actually treat someone who has been in a propane fire or who has been in a liquid natural gas fire. Those are totally different. We have first responders who actually have to go out onto the highway. We teach them how to go out onto the highways and actually address these types of fires and what have you. So that's what we do for training.
So is that a certification program?
Yes, that is a
yes. A certain Department of Energy?
Yes, the certifications that you actually get will be 3 certifications. One actually is from the National Alternative Fuel Training Consortium, that's out of West Virginia, and they were commissioned by the United States government in 1992. So they actually have that certification that they give out, and then you will also receive a certification from the EPA, from the Environmental Protection Agency, And then you'll receive your international certification from the CAS certifying board, and they're the ones who actually certify for the United States, for Canada, and for New Mexico for the alternative fuel industry, as well as the electrical industry, the plumbers industry, and they certify not only the workers, but they also certify the equipment. And so these are the different, those are the 3 certifications that someone would walk out of our training center with. And that makes them very well qualified to go out there into the industry and actually, take on these jobs that are coming.
Ms. Gamble, how long have you been doing this work itself in terms of this line of work, this line of business?
In this line of business, I've been in this line of business for the past 12 years. I've been working in the fuels business. And the way that I got into this business, I didn't come in through fuels, necessarily through alternative fuels. I actually came in through biotechnology and biomanufacturing. I went back to get a new degree in that area, and what interested me more than necessarily extracting DNA and being in a laboratory all day, because I'm a person, I like to be out in the public and I like to be working with the public, was the fuel side of it. And in '95, the company, the name actually came out of California because I was in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that's where the 95 and the motoring came from, because I found that to be very interesting and fascinating, and it addressed so many different areas. It did not only simply address the area of the industry as fuels, but it also addressed the environment. It also addressed the health of the people, the health of the country, and the health of everyone. And I was very interested in that area, and that's what made me actually want to go into the alternative fuels area, because I could see that the fuels was causing most of our problems. And that was causing, and perhaps me personally, it was causing my own respiratory problems that I was having. And so therefore, it was like I could either continue to live with this or do something about it. And I chose to do something about it.
So my last question is Georgia. Because I know some states are ahead of the ball game in terms of embracing this movement. What are the opportunities in Georgia? Because I know there have to be huge opportunities here, because we have some of this, but I don't see that we have a lot of it. So talk a little about that.
In the state of Georgia, you are Clean Cities. Clean Cities is a national effort. And there are, throughout the country, Clean Cities came about out of the 2009 out of the Recovery Act. And what the Clean Cities is, that's all the major cities. Each one has their own individual area that basically says, I will make certain that the cities that are in my state adhere to all these different changes and mandates and laws. So they're there to help those. In the state of Georgia, they are doing quite a bit in the state to actually move forward and move with the mandates. They have filed, the Governor Deal has filed with the government his plan of how they're actually going to move all their vehicles over to an alternative fuel and on what type of time frame they're going to do that on. They're a little bit slow in actually doing it, but they have filed it. So theirs was says that by 2020, everything should be, that's any government entity should be transferred over to some type of an alternative fuel vehicle. Well, to do that effort, of course, they're going to need people. That's going to create the jobs. So it's more or less a step in, a step at a time. But I can tell you for certain that Georgia is moving in slowly, slow as it is, they are moving in that direction. Georgia Power, as a matter of fact, they have already discovered that if they were to take and put $1 million into 18 different buildings that for energy conservation, that they would be able to save $4 billion in energy costs. So therefore, these are the different types of efforts that actually are going on statewide in the state of Georgia to actually meet these. And what has to happen, and with many states, and many states across the country, what you have is you have two things that stop you from moving forward: infrastructure and qualified people. If you don't have the infrastructure, then I can build all the alternative fuel vehicles that I want to my little heart's desire that my manufacturing plant can manufacture. But if you can't get fuel, they will just simply sit on the car lots or at the manufacturing plants. If I don't have qualified people to do the work that needs to be done, of course, my think tank people would be all my scientists who are thinking up all these things and have all these new and brilliant ways to do things. That would go for naught because I do not have anyone who's qualified to actually do the work. And so therefore, that's why it seems like it's a very slow burning process to actually get the ball moving and get the ball rolling. And that's the reason, that's a very good question that you asked that, because that's the very concept of why we're doing the educational series, to hopefully educate the public at a base level. There's a lot of information that comes out in the media, there's a lot of information that comes out socially, there's a lot of information that comes out in the newspapers and print advertisement and the print media, but people need to know at this level where we're talking one-on-one, where you can ask your questions one-on-one and you know, how does this affect me, or how can I affect this change that needs to happen?
Yvonne, how can we learn more about this, get in contact with you, things of that nature?
To learn more about this, you can go out to our website at www.9to5motoringaf.com, and you can find out more information about what we're doing, about what's going on, and ways that you can actually get involved, even if it's nothing more than having your vehicle converted. That could be your step one. If you are looking for employment or what have you, you can actually come with us and help to take on, some type of training so that you can get yourself well educated. If you are a fleet and you're looking to convert your fleet, you can talk to us about that. You can always reach us via telephone as well, 925-752-6241. That's our telephone number, and you can reach us there. We look forward to talking to everybody, everyone in here at some point in time.
Yvonne, thank you so much. This has been a dynamic conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Ms. Yvonne Gamble a hand.